He's our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can't lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one. One more time. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. You we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. along. Follow Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing along, hallelujah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we live, you're our champion. With you we can move, we always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can lose, we always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can lose, we always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing along, hallelujah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing along, hallelujah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we live, you're our champion. With you we can lose, we always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing aloud, aloud Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing aloud, aloud Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Praise him, he's worthy, you're 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 worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. Come on, praise him, praise him. Come on, praise him, praise him. Come on, praise him, praise him, praise him like you mean it. Come on, praise him, praise him. Come on, he's worthy, he's You're worthy, you're worthy. Come on, praise him. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Come on, he's worthy, he's worthy. Worthy of all praise, worthy of all esteem. He's worthy, he's worthy. We praise you, Abraham, for your kindness and your mercy. He's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy. He's worthy, he's worthy. He's worthy, he's worthy. Yes, he is. He's worthy, he's worthy. We praise you, Abba Yahuwah. We praise you, we praise you, we praise you. We praise you because you're worthy. We praise you because you're kind. We praise you, Abba Yahuwah, because you're long suffering. We praise you, Abba Yahuwah, because you are our King. We make our boast in you, Abba Yahuwah, for there is none like you. Yes, there is none like you, none like you. And we praise you, we praise you, we praise you, we praise you. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Yes, sir. Mm. Come on, praise him, praise him. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Worthy, worthy. He's worthy. Praise is commonly for the upright. It is what we do. We praise him. Not just when we're going through, but we praise him because he's worthy and because he is due all of our praise. He's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy. Let us turn our attention to the scroll of Ezekiel, chapter 37, and we're going to begin with verse 15. When you have it, Santa, just come on, praise him. We don't have to stop praising him. He's worthy. When you have said it is so, once again, going back into the writings, our theme is Uayigash, and it means, excuse me, And he drew near, and he drew near. As we've come to the end of this portion of our class, we want to turn our attention to the Haftorah portions, which is Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 15. And we're going to read all the way to, we're going to read starting at verse 15 to verse 28. And it is so. All right, come on.
Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 15.
Let's read Abraham.
The Torah of Yahuwah came to me. Son of man, take a stick of wood and write on it, belonging to Yehuda and the Yashraelites associated with it. Then take another stick of wood and write on it, Ephraim sticks belonging to Yosef and all the house of Yashrael associated with him. Join them together into one stick, so that they will become one in your hand. When your countrymen ask you, won't you tell us what you mean by this? Say to them, this is what the sovereign Savior says. I'm going to take the stick of Yosef, which is in Ephraim's hand, and of the Yashraelites tribes associated with him, and join it to Yehuda's stick, making them a single stick of wood, and they will become one in my hand. Verse 20, hold before their eyes the sticks you have written on, and say to them, this is what the sovereign Savior says. I will take the Yashraelites out of the nations where they have gone. I will gather them from all around and bring them back into their own land. I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Yasharal. There will be one king over all of them, and they will never again be two nations or be divided into two kingdoms. And it is so.
And it is so. Go ahead and read verse 23 too, because that goes with it too.
Verse 23. They will no longer defile themselves with their idols and vile images or with any of their offenses. For I will save them from all their sinful backsliding, and I will cleanse them. They will be my people, and I will be their Savior. And it is so.
Actually, that is still one long verse. That verse starts at 21, and all of that actually is one verse. Anytime you see the semicolons and the number, that means that that's a whole statement, but they broke it up in sentences or in verses. All right, excuse me. For Yehuda and for the children of Yasharal, verse 16. That is the tribe of Benjamin, which was also associated with Yehuda. For Joseph, all the house of Yasharal, the other nine, and all the other nine, and the other 9 tribes. Excuse me. Companions. The Ibram is in the singular, all being regarded collectively as one. This is the prophet saying that we will be a one people, one nation, governed under one king. And so it is important that we understand the purpose and the mission of our being awakened. He woke us up so that we could walk in truth, so that he could make us or bring us to become a part of that oneness, so we could be one. Not a nation of individuals, but a nation that stands together during the great times and during the hard times and the challenging times. Are y'all feeling it?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. Excuse me. One in thy hand, I will make them into one. They will appear to be one. This is a kingdoms will become one. And this is why he told the prophet to do this. Now you have to understand this has already been done. This is not going to be done. It is already done. Mm-hmm. And this is why it's important that we read and familiarize ourselves with the writings. And not only that, but truly make a conscious decision to live by the instructions that he has given unto us, so that we can truly be that one nation that he is calling us and pulling us together to be. Yeah. It's important that we understand that. And it is so. And it is so. Now, once again, very important, as we look at it, and he says in verse 20, and the sticks whereupon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes, and say unto them, thus saith the power, or Yahuwah, Behold, I will take the children of Yasharal from among the nations whither they are gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. This is what we call the gathering. This is what's happening. He gave me 3 R's: recovery, restoration, and revival. He is restoring us because he's preparing to do what? Bring us together as a unit, as one nation. But we can't do that if we all have our own opinions, and if we have our own beliefs, and if we have our own way of doing things. It is important that we line up with his instructions and follow that what he has given unto us. Verse 22, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Yasharal, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations. Now you have to understand the importance of understanding this. We understand that this is the gathering ground. These are the gathering times from every place in the four corners of the eras is Abba Yahuwah pulling, and he's calling us, and he's awakening us. And he's awakening us so that he can make us one. Don't believe the lie that we won't become one till we get over there. That's a lie. That's just like telling somebody you don't have to have insurance until you get in an accident. Unless you have a special waiver that that says you are permitted not to have insurance, you better have something, because if you don't, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail because you have just directly disobeyed that law of the land. Now, once again, I am not an advocate of obeying things that are contrary to our way of life. But because we do certain things here, yes, we have certain ways that we can live by, and there are certain things that we can do, but we first have to have the information so we don't be walking around here looking stupid. And seeing the things that have drastically gone wrong, where people are busting in people's windows and pulling children out of cars and taking our people and beating them and putting them in jail for a misdemeanor, and really wasn't even a misdemeanor because the police was looking for a reason to do what he did. Why? Because if we are not educated upon these things, then it is important until we are educated to do what is right, so that we don't find ourselves being tossed around like paper, or even having our lives taken away from us. Are y'all following me? Yes. It's very important for us to understand these things. Why is it important for us to understand these things? It is important for us to understand them because wisdom is the principal thing. And in all thy getting, what? Get an understanding. It is important that we have an understanding, so while we're living in this land, we can safeguard ourselves and hopefully safeguard other people. But it is what is needed. Unity here and now in this place is needed, not when we get home. Because you have to understand, if we have not gotten it right here, how are we going to get it right there? Are y'all following me? Yeah. This is the time. These are the pruning times, and this is the pruning ground. Whether we're here in America or somewhere else, and you know you are part of the scatter, and you are part of Yasharal, then you know it's appointed unto us to what? Come together and be unified and be one nation. Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore, with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of their dwelling places. I'm reading into verse 23 now. In their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their power. That's verse 23. Very important for us to understand. He is cleansing us now. This is why we can't afford to allow the enemy, do you hear me? The enemy to beguile us in this stretch of our walk. We cannot allow him to take and to destroy what Abba Yahuwah has built and continues to build in us as his people. Right. It is very important. And the reason why I'm adamant about this is because you have to understand the enemy's desire is to destroy us before we even get out the starting blocks well. Before you mature enough to understand and get a handle on this way of life, he wants to destroy our belief. That's right. He wants to destroy it. How does he destroy our belief? Through sorrow. How else does he destroy our belief? He tries to destroy our belief through disappointment, through tragedy, through failed things that we have tried to do. Are you following me? Yes. Through disappointment because of failure. You have to understand, he's very, when it comes to doing certain things, he's shrewd. And if we are not knowledgeable about his devices, then guess what will happen? We will surely fall for it and we will be destroyed. Right. This is why it's important that we not be ignorant concerning the devices of Shaitan. It is his desire to get us out and to throw us out. Why? Because he knows that things that happen to us, especially if it's something that's traumatic or something that is going to change our lives drastically, then the first thing he does is he tries to plant a seed there and say, but if, and if, and he was truly for you, then why? This is why we have to keep our hearts, we have to guard the Torah in our hearts, and we have to guard it in our lives. Because the enemy is shrewd. Are you following me?
Yes.
He's shrewd, so we have to maintain and stay up and keep our belief healthy. He said, but you will be my people and I will be your savior. And my servant Dawood shall be king over them, and they shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in mine ordinances and observe my statutes and do them. That's verse 24. Now, my servant Dawood shall be king over them. The Mashiach will be called Dawood because he will be the descendant from him, or perhaps enhanced at the resurrection. So it's important that we understand. And this is why it is important that we understand the purpose of the Mashiach and understand the importance of the renewed covenant. It is not the New Testament. That is the thing we have to do. Renew your mind. Renew our minds and stop playing in these games and letting the enemy destroy us with principles that are biblical. But because we tend to follow the populace, then we tend to believe what is stated. You have so many say, "Oh, y'all following a man-made doctrine." Well, that's the case. If you're reading the King James Bible, you're reading the man-made information. Because they literally went in, even in the 1611 one, went in and truly rewrote it and took stuff out and added stuff in it. So when it's all said and done, if you're reading the King James Version, whether it's the 1611, the new version, the old version, the middle version, I don't care what version it is. If you're reading it, then guess what? You're reading a man-made, altered, and constructed instructions or version. So it's important that we understand this. And it is not the New Testament, neither is it the Old Testament. It is the first covenant, and it is what people consider the new covenant is the renewed covenant. It is the renewed covenant. Are you understanding?
Yes.
The renewed covenant. It's nothing new about it. But what makes it new is the perception or from the view that you read it from. If you read it from the view where it looks new and it looks like Yahush is coming, which we know they don't say Yahush in the King James Version, they say Jesus. So yes, it is new according to what they do, but we know we don't follow under those principles. We don't follow under that. We follow under the original writings, as close to original as possibly they can get. But we know that with this, that we are walking in a manner and we are following it as it has been given to us. Are you following me?
Yes.
So it's important for us to understand that. But once again, don't fall for that lie. When in doubt, pray it out. Fast and pray. Because he said if we ask him, he said he would not withhold no great thing from them that have him and ask of him. So if he's telling us, if we ask him, he's going to tell us, then that's the thing we should do before you just go jumping off a cliff believing it's water down there. Because there is no guarantee there's water down there, especially if you're following the crowd. You jump and then you realize when you look, there's no water. Well, you should have looked before you leaped.
Right. Yes.
So it's important that we understand, try it, test the word. Because then you have those that come up and say, well, the renewed testament, which we know is the renewed covenant, they say the New Testament, well, the language is different. Of course, it's going to be different. Our language is different. Even the Hebrew is different now.
Right.
It's going to be different. But because it's different doesn't mean the meaning changes. That's when we have problems, when the meaning changes. I'm listening to a teacher now that is teaching on the alphabet. And he is in my opinion, he's a great teacher when it comes to teaching along the understanding the alphabet and understanding how things are. We understand that during the Babylonian captivity, many of things changed and our language, our culture was contaminated. So we know these things change. So the important The very important thing about this is that we must understand how to interpret the Ibram writings or the Hebrew writings. This is why I encourage all of us to learn Hebrew. Learn it. Are you following me?
Yes.
Learn it so that when you're reading, you have an option to read from the Hebrew version, also from the English, so that you and I can both have a better understanding of what it is that we are reading. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand this. So this is why I say what I say. Once again, we can't afford to believe the lie, because if you believe that lie, just as Yehukin in Aleph chapter 5 tells us, if you don't have the Son, you do not possess life.
Wow.
And if you deny the Son, then you make Abba Yahuwah out to be a liar, and we don't want to do that. So we have to be careful in the very things that we do, and it is so.
It is so.
Excuse me. All right, let's finish reading, please. Verse 25. I read 24, read 25 to 27.
Verse 25. It reads, and they shall dwell in the land that I have given to Yaakov my servant. When your Abbas dwells, and they shall dwell in it, they and their children and their children's children, forever. And my servant Dawood be their prince forever. And I shall make a covenant of peace with them, an everlasting covenant it is with them. And I shall place them and increase them, and shall place my set apart place in their midst forever. And my dwelling place shall be over them, and I shall be their power, and they shall be my people. 27.
Oh, wait, 28.
Okay. And the Gentiles shall know that I, Yahuwah, am setting Yashrual apart, when my set apart place is in their midst forever. And it is so.
And it is so. Unto Yaakov my servant, even as I gave it to Yaakov, without bounds. Yaakov is singled out because Abraham and Isaac had sons, Ishmael and Esau, respectively, to whom the land had not been promised. Now, once again, this is very important that we understand this. Why is it important that we understand this? Because just because, understand, it's an exception and not a rule. There are things that we can do that can cause us to be disqualified for certain things. There it is. And if we don't, excuse me, follow it in the manner that it's supposed to, then we can be disqualified. Does that mean that we won't get what he said? You get what he said, but there'll be changes because of the changes that we make in our lives concerning certain things. Are you following me?
Yes.
It's just like if someone had an accident and had their big toe cut off. Well, that means there has to be an alteration to their shoes. That means there has to be things that have to be altered to do what? To fit what is taking place to them. And so Abba Yahuwah does not deny them what he's promised them, but he does alter it. Are you following me?
Yes.
Because of what they did. Now, once again, you have to understand these things were not Yahuwah did not tell them to do these things. These were things they did on their own. And this is why these things happen. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. All right. And so this is why some of these changes came about. I will establish them in the land or in my Baruch. So understand, in the land we will be established, and in his Baruch, which is his blessing, we will be established. As I said before, Abba Yahuwah is doing things in the lives of his people even now. He's given us strategy. He's given us, even in this place that that we are in, he has given us how to prosper. Why? Because he's showing us how to take what he's given unto us, take it and utilize it, just as we saw earlier with the life of Joseph. Joseph was very intelligent. Not only was he intelligent, first of all, he was anointed by Abba Yahuwah. Then he was one that ahabbed the Torah, and he ahabbed Yahuwah, because no matter what situation he was in, he always gave him praise, and he never ever left him out of the equation. I said it before, we can never leave him out, but we can ignore his presence. And we don't want to ignore his presence in our lives, because when you do that, what you are saying to him is, I don't want you here. Because if he ever leaves from out of our presence, we're in trouble. we're in trouble. But you can ignore his presence. And so he never ignored his presence in spite of him being sold, in spite of him being lied on and put in prison, in spite of him going through all of that. He trusted in him. And we've got to get to a place in our lives that we trust him even when we don't understand what he's doing and how he's doing it. We still have to trust him. And so it is important that we understand these principles. And so even as Joseph was able from a young man or young lad be able to work his way up the ranks, because why? He learned, and he not only did he learn, but he practiced what he learned, and he was able to put it into practice when it came time for these things to be executed. Are you following me?
Yes.
Perfect practice makes perfect. And so whatever Abba Yahuwah has given unto us to do, you have to understand we've got to be able to execute those things. I don't believe he executed those things prematurely, but you have to understand before he became governor over Mitzrayim, he was governor over Potiphar's house.
Right. No.
So he had to learn a valuable lesson. Before he was governor over Potiphar's house, he was also what we will call in today's time power of attorney over Yasharal's or Yaakov's wealth. He was the one to see to everything being taken care of, and also he was his primary caregiver. So it's important that we understand these things. Most of the time, things that we go through and it seems like we stay right there in that vein is the thing that I truly believe, that this is me saying, that I believe that Yahuwah is going to use us in that area. Not always so, but I just believe that if it's an area that it seems like every time we move out, we move right back into that area, I believe it's an area that he is trying to show us that he wants to get the usage of our lives out of that. Are you following me? You have people that are great with children. You have people that are great with the elderly. You have people that are great with finance. You have people that are great with organizing. You have people that are great with doing these things. And then you have people that are great with being a support and supporting people. Mm-hmm. You have people that are great with, being able to encourage people. Whatever you find, and that's your strength, and people are baruch by it, that's where you need to see, is this where you want me, Abba Yahuwah? I'm not talking about being conceited and self-righteous and egotistical and proud and obnoxious. I'm talking about when you do it out of the greatness of your heart and you don't tell everybody. But you do it because you let other people speak of what you've done. You don't go tooting your own horn. Are you following me? Yes. You let somebody else do it, and when they do, you're like, no, don't, that's between you and I, you and me, everybody don't have to know that. Are you following me? Yes. So it is important that we understand where our strengths are and let Abba Yahuwah use us in those areas. Now, watch this. If Joseph would have become bitter and would have basically turned on Abba Yahuwah and basically felt like, Abba Yahuwah, you've abandoned me. You put me in this position and I have nobody. I don't know anybody. And this is a place I'm in. Then guess what would have happened? That what Yahuwah had placed in him would have been lost. But you have to understand, whenever Yahuwah invests in us, it's because he trusts us. He trusts us. He trusts you. He trusts me with certain things. And he knows that whatever it takes for us to do, we have to do, we're going to do it. What's it saying? Swim, come hell or high water. We're swimming. We ain't sinking. We're moving forward. Are you hearing me? Yes. We ain't going backwards. Forward ever, backwards never. Ain't no sinking, swim, and we're going to do whatever we have to do to accomplish what he's placing us to accomplish. Are you following me? Yes. If it means that we have to pull away and fast and pray, may look crazy to other people, but if it means we got to pull away and fast and pray to make sure that what we are doing is in line with what his will is for our lives, and guess what? We will do so because we didn't worry about the populace. We ain't worried about what other people may think. Right. And what other people may say. Our whole desire and what we are built upon is pleasing the Abba. So it's important that we understand that. Are you following me? Yes. It's very important for us to understand that. Verse 27, over them, in their midst, over them, denotes that his fear will be upon them. In other words, there is something even in us now that we need to understand. We can't just do any and everything. We have to understand fear and reverence Abba Yahuwah. We have to get out of that old stinking thinking and get out of that mindset where, hey, it is what it is, and we think that Yahuwah is our homeboy. We think Yahushua's, he our homeboy, he down with us. No, we got to get that mentality out and really start looking at who they are. excuse me, in our lives. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that and look at who they are. Abba Yahuwah is our king. Yahush is our mediator. He is the one that teaches us how to live according to the instructions of Abba Yahuwah. He is the one that teaches us how to get the attention of Abba Yahuwah. And it's important that we follow that. Even Rabbi Shaul said, follow me as I follow Yahush. So he was a follower of Yahush. In spite of how people try to dog him out and how to say all manner of evil against him, you can't make me believe that it was that after Rabbi Shaul came in the truth, that he was a sellout and that he was an agent. I don't believe that. I don't. But I believe that when he got a taste of truth, he couldn't let it go and he couldn't shake it. He couldn't go back to anything else. When you have truly had a taste of truth, nothing else will satisfy that desire. There is nothing else that will satisfy that craving, because there is nothing else that is capable or compatible to it. Are you following me?
Yes.
It's like tasting something, fine chocolate, real chocolate, not artificial chocolate. And you really taste and you be like, boy, this is great. And then you go back and taste some of that artificial stuff that's powdered, colored powder. You be like, that ain't like that. That ain't that. But you put that other stuff in your mouth, that stuff melt in your mouth. You be like, oh no, I'm sold. Are you hearing me? Because you know it's authentic and it's what? It's real. Cocoa beans. You ever want to know if chocolate is real? You know when it is when you buy a chocolate bar that's almost $3 because you look at the ingredients and the amount of cocoa that's in it. If it's 70% cocoa, you got some great stuff. 90% cocoa, you got some excellent stuff. 100%, you got all of it. So prepare for your mouth to be kind of, because chocolate is very pungent, but it has a great taste. So be prepared to have that bittersweet, that just gonna rush your mouth. It's gonna really rush your mouth. But the thing of it is understanding when the authentic from that what has been watered down. And so it's important that we understand that everything Abba Yahuwah did is to make sure that we would be secure in this walk. And it is so. And it is so. All right, now we're going into our Hadasha portions. We're going to turn our attention to Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. And it is so. We haven't said it is so.
Ephesians chapter 2.
Chapter 2, verses 1 through 10.
And it is so.
All right. Mm-hmm. You do 5.
And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in time past he walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the powers of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. But Yahuwah, who is rich in mercy, for his great ahab, wherewith he had ahab us, even when we were dead in sins, hath quickened us together with Hamashiach. And it is so.
Go ahead and read verse 6 because that goes with it. These are one, but they break it up. Go ahead.
I said by grace, we are saying what I think by mercy, by mercy, mercy. Verse 6 reads, and hath raised us up together and made us sit together in Shemayim places in Yahuwah HaMashiach.
And it is so. Now, once again, let's look at this, which is very important for us to look at because it ties in with the Torah portions and the Haftorah portions, and it gives us a full course meal. That's the only way I can see it. It gives us a full course meal because now it shows us how the connection will take place. And he has made ye alive who were dead in trespasses and sins. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand this, because we have to acknowledge we were dead in sin. What was it that made us alive? What quickened us to life? This is talking about the 10 northern tribes, meaning us. We were the ones that were dead in sin. Are you hearing me? And what quickened us, except for Yahush, our Mashiach?
Right.
Now look what he says, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in times past. Now he's talking about in the time past, we walked according to the course of this world. That is why in Romans 12, 1 and 2, he gives us a decree and he gives us a command to renew our mind in verse 2. But he says in verse 1, present our bodies a living sacrifice. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Acceptable unto Abba Yahuwah, which is our reasonable service. And then he says, and then don't be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It is this world system, if we continue to live in it and live by it, is going to destroy us. It is going to destroy us. And the world system has set it up for us to believe that the false deities that they have put in place are the deities that we are supposed to follow. Yahuwah has a name and his son has a name, and it is Yahush and Yahuwah. It's very important that we understand this. And this is why we have the exhortations, and then we have the writings to remind us of what we used to be in our past, so that we don't go backwards.
Right.
We don't defect and go backwards. Now you have to understand, once again, we walk that way, but we don't walk that way anymore. Rabbi Paulus here is directly directing his speech to the house of Yasharal, the 10 scattered tribes. He is telling them, hey, and telling us, don't go in that. Now he's reminding us of what we used to be, but we're no longer that. According to the course of this world, according to the ruler of the authority of the air, the Ruach, that is now energizing the children of disobedience. People are disobedient and they continue to follow in this manner because guess what? Something is pushing them on. You know how we say they egging them on? They pushing them on. They are encouraging them to do this. They constantly keep putting them in this position because they want them to do it. This is what this system continues to push you to do. If you're in disobedience, it's constantly pushing you to continue to walk in disobedience. And we are not called to disobedience, but we're called to walk in what? Truth. Truth. If you are disobedient, you won't be Baruch. And you have to understand, Baruch doesn't mean to have all finances, because eventually the finances are going to come to a close. But Baruch means that you are well in your body. It means that your affairs are in order. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
It means you have shalom when you lay down at Layla, and you have shalom when you wake up in the morning. That is what a true Baruch is, and knowing who you belong to and who you are, and that you are no longer walking in that lie. You understand this? Shaitan is called the ruler of the air. He is the ruler of nothing, not the world, as erroneously taught. By being the ruler of the air, he deceives people and energizes them to commit disobedient acts against the Kadesh one of Yasharal. Are y'all hearing me?
Yeah.
So if he's not the ruler of anything, what does he do? He still energizes and he still promotes and he still pushes. Are you following me? Because doesn't the writings tell us that the earth is Yahuwah's and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein? Can't have two owners. Only one owns the earth, and that is Abba Yahuwah. So it's important that we understand this. Very important that we understand this. Are you hearing me? Verse 5, even when we were dead in sins, he has quickened us what? Together with Mashiach. Mashiach is the glue that brings us together and makes us what? Akkad. For without him, we cannot be what? Akkad. And this is why the enemy is fighting so hard for us to walk away, throw in the towel, and stop believing that the Mashiach is the key ingredient to our togetherness and our relationship. It's important we understand this. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important that we understand this. Verse 6, and he has raised us up how? Together. Not individually, but to what? Together. This is a together. This is about being together. This is about togetherness. This is about unity. not us being individuals, a nation of individuals. It is about us being unified. And he has raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in Mashiach Yahush. Together, together, together. Why? Because the work he's doing is a work on what? On us as a total, not just as individuals. And we need to lose that mentality of individuality, if I could say so. It is important that we understand we are not islands and we don't stand alone. We don't. I know there are times that many of us have felt so ostracized and so lonely. We felt like, where are my people? Where is everybody? Where are you? Where are you when I need you? Where are you when it feels like my heart is about to bust out my chest? Where are you when it feels like my brain can't handle everything that's coming at me? Well, you have to understand, you're going to find those that are to themselves. Then you're going to find those that have no problem with saying, here am I, I'm with you. I'm with you. But you just got to understand, but you got to maintain your course of action. Are you hearing me? That's for all of us. Because you have to understand, the attack and the assault is upon our unity. If he can divide us, he can what? Conquer us. That is why we have to stay unified. You and I. Isn't what that was on a Color Purple? Are you following me? Y'all can do that too. We're unified. We're together. We stick like glue. We can't be torn apart. Me and you, we can't be torn apart. That's what you have to say to yourself. We can't be torn apart. We can't be torn apart. It's the truth. We've got to get to that place where we allow ourselves to stick together like glue. And who or what is the glue? Yahush is the glue. And that is why we cannot allow people to make us feel that he is insignificant and of none of importance to us, because he is. Yahush is. And it is so.
It is so.
All right, let's read starting at verse 7. Come and read. Read verse 7 all the way to verse 10.
That in the ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his mercy and his kindness toward us through Yahushua HaMashiach. Verse 8. For by mercy are ye saved through belief, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of Yahuwah. Verse 9. Not of works, lest any man should boast. Verse 10. For we are his workmanship, created in Yahushua HaMashiach unto great works, which Yahuwah hath before ordained that we should walk in them. Yes.
And it is so. Once again, you have to understand he is not speaking to a people that don't understand truth. He's speaking to a people that understood and still understands truth. But it is according to our acceptance and to our desire to follow in his divine will and purpose. Not man's way, but in the way that he has set out this course of action for us as his people. Once again, as he shows us that in the ages to come, he might show what ages to come. We're in these ages now. These are the ages he spoke of to come. Listen at this. That he might show the exceedingly riches of his esteem and his kindness toward us through Mashiach. If the Mashiach is not in you, where's the kindness coming from? And how can it be shown to you? Can't be. Kindness can't be shown to you when you reject the very one that is the catalyst or the connection to the kindness. It can't work. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And it won't work. This is why you can't be beguiled by people out there that's running around and get a notion or get a bug in their ear. And now they're running it because of one verse that they misunderstood. Now they think that everything is predicated upon them misunderstanding a verse to say, okay, everything else is wrong. No, you know what? Back in the day, if you got a snag in your clothes, you just took a lighter or a match and you burned that little snag off. You didn't throw the whole garment away. Because you was like, hey, that little snag, I can either cut that or burn it. Burning was better because then you didn't have to worry about snagging it and being snagged again. But the bottom line is that we allow one person to tell us, I read and this, that, and the other, and then now you on the bandwagon. You know what? I thought that's what that meant. Now you full blown into it. You a full blown believer over a verse that you didn't ask anybody else about. You didn't pray about it. You just took it at that and ran with it. And now you're outside of truth. Many of our people are outside of truth because of that. So now understand, he can't show his exceedingly riches of his kindness or his esteem and his kindness towards us through Mashiach if you don't have the Mashiach in your life. Are you hearing me? Yeah. It's just like trying to put gas in a car without a funnel. It's impossible if you have nothing to put the gas in with, because you have to understand, when you open up that gas tank, and you move the top off of it and you open it up, there's a hole there, but there's a flap that's over it. And if you don't have a nozzle and you don't have a if you don't have a nozzle or you don't have a funnel, how you gonna put the gas in? You can't, because you're gonna make a mess. This is important. How can we receive the kindness and the mercy of Abba Yahuwah without the one that sets the stage for it to be shown? It can't be done. Are y'all following me? Yes. It can't be done. For by esteem are you saved through belief, and that not of yourselves. Nothing you could do and nothing I could do. And this is why when I see brothers, and I understand their zeal, but when I see brothers out there and they're on the corners and they call, and some of them are calling themselves teaching and preachers, and man, they going in hard, you start thinking, you're doing this the wrong way. Now, many of you may not agree with me, and that's fine. But you're doing it the wrong way. Yahushua didn't go to those places. You know where the hedges, highways, and byways were? Those were the rough areas. You want to show me you doing something? Go up in the projects where you know don't nobody live up in there but Pookie, Boo Boo, Tam Tam, Veronica, Mimi, and Mia, and all them. Go up in there and talk to them, because those are the ones that need to hear who they are. Or let's go to the gas station where we have the panhandlers sitting up there. And let's talk to them. And while they're asking you, hey, can you give me something to eat? And you know they're reeking with beer. And you're like, you ain't going to get nothing to eat. You want something to drink. But while I have your attention, let me speak to you. Let me drop something in your heart. Are you following me? Yeah. This is what is important. These things we don't do because we're not doing it of ourselves. Are you following me? Yes. Like I said, I know many people don't agree with it because many people believe, that's what we're supposed to do. Okay, but who are you with? You talking to these same people walk through here, and these people ain't paying you a bit of attention. Are you following me? Yes. But if we're supposed to go to the lost sheep of Yasharal, you better go to the places that they are. Go where they are. And we need to stop being afraid to go. When we were Christianity, sometimes we would go up in some of them places and be like, all right, y'all, this is how we're going to play this. This is how this is going to play out. We'll go in here, we're going to drop this off, and we'll keep it moving. Anybody want to talk, we'll talk and do what we got to do, but we got to keep this thing moving. Why? Because we couldn't be afraid of going in places that looked hood. Are you following me? Because now we like, okay, they subject to come up and probably start blasting for no apparent reason. For no reason. Are you hearing me? Yes. So it's important that we understand, but understand he said, not of your own accord. In other words, it's through belief and not of ourselves. So that means that the things we do, we need to make sure we're really doing it for Abba Yahuwah and not to be seen. Okay. Not to be seen. It is the gift of Yahuwah. What is the gift of Yahuwah? Our salvation. Not of works, lest any man should boast. This is why anybody that goes and do anything and come back and boast about it, there's a problem. There's a major problem. Are you following me?
Yes.
We're not supposed to boast about it. And this is why some things that we do when we're ministering to people, we should never let it be seen except through or except by Yahuwah. Because who you trying to impress? Are you following me?
Yes.
You're trying to impress nobody. Verse 10, for we are his workmanship, created in Mashiach Yahush to great works, which Yahuwah has before ordained that we should walk in them. The great works. We are the great works. Are you hearing me? We are his workmanship. Yeah. And because we are his workmanship, through us, great works come about. But watch this. The works are not things that we do. These are Torah works. The works that Rabbi Paulus refers to here is Torah works. Commandments that Yahuwah required for us to show our hab for him. See, it doesn't matter how somebody else does what they do. But if we truly ahab him and want to live for him, then we're going to do it just as he has told us to do. And once again, remember, the works that Rabbi Shaul is referring to here are Torah works. Commandments that Yahuwah required for us to show our ahab for him. Many people, when you get to talking about the commandments, the first thing they start thinking about, well, that's the law, and that's a curse being under the law. You start thinking, show me how that's a curse. To eat healthy and to do your neighbor right. Tell me how is that? And to keep the Sabbath rest and to keep the feast. Please tell me how that is so wrong. Show me where there is error. There is no error in there. But I will show you this. It is according to the interpretation of many people or many theologians that have had a lot of people believe that this is wrong and it can't be done and you can't live under the law, because if you live by the law, you're going to die by the sword. If you don't live by the law, you still going to die by the sword or by a bullet. Either way, are you following me? Yes. So the misconception is the erroneous interpretations of the writings. So many have believed, well, that was done away with. It was not done away with. It was fulfilled. Matthew 5 and 17 and 18 tells us, Yahushua himself said, think not that I've come to do away with the law. Are you hearing me? Or the prophets. He said, but to what? To fulfill it. To fulfill something doesn't mean that it is taken away or done away with. It means that he's saying, look, I'm going to fulfill it, and me through you, in you, is going to give you the ability to live it out. Are you hearing me? It's a thing. You know, when we were in Christianity, and Christians would always say, and this is a song that we didn't like, and I really didn't like it, and I still don't like it because of the things that it said. There was a song that said, the Jesus in me loves the Jesus in you. You're so easy to love. Well, the problem came with that, and let me show you where this is erroneous, and that's not what we should look at. Because truthfully, the depth of our maturity is shown by how we treat one another. So if I can't ahab you, because I know it's the right thing to do, and he has to come and do it through me, then I'm really not doing anything. Are you hearing me? Yes. I can still be the nasty, malicious person that I want to be. But that's the error of that, because there are things that we are supposed to do. Does not the writings tell us to ahab our neighbor as we ahab ourselves? Yes. That's what we're capable of doing. Now understand, Yahush comes in and helps us to do what we within ourselves cannot do. Are you hearing me? Yes. That's what he comes in and helps us to do. But you can ahab a person if you desire to. Just like we can forgive people if we want to. We can hold grudges for the rest of our lives, or we can forgive. So the bottom line is knowing what we are capable of doing, and then what we have not the strength to do, he will step in and he will do it, or help us do it. He won't do it for you, but he will help us do it. He's our teacher. What does a teacher do? A teacher helps a student to do what? Master the subject they are taking. But that teacher does not do the work for them. The teacher only helps, or the more or mora only helps. But we never do the work for you. We just teach you how to do the work and how to get it done and how to master it and how to pass it. Not with flying colors, but pass it because you have mastered it and you understand how you're supposed to govern your life. And it is so. And it is so. Well, we have come to the close of our Shabbat class on this great Layla this time.
that we have come to celebrate and commemorate our Sabbath rest, a time that we rest from all of our labors, which I appreciate, a time once again to celebrate, commemorate with our mishpachah and friends, and also a time that we study together and we learn and we encourage one another, and we just go deeper in the Ahab of Yahuwah and understand that his Ahab is shown through his gift unto us, the Mashiach. Very important for us to understand this. So I want to encourage you to keep your head up, keep your shoulders squared, and keep your heart and your feet in and upon the Torah, because you can't go wrong. I want to read this verse to those that are still listening, for you to be encouraged and maintain in this time. What was it? 133. Okay, I thought it was there. I was looking too fast. All right, I want to read this to encourage your hearts. I know we go through things, and sometimes it can feel, it can become overwhelming, the things that we face in this life. And sometimes it gets who is with us, and we know He cares, and we know He'll never leave us, neither will He forsake us. But there are times in our lives that we face that place in life where we know it, but sometimes it's just still a little rough, and it's still just a little hard to maintain. Not saying that we're gonna backslide, but there are some things that come and hit the heart home, hit the heart heavy. And so I want to encourage you with Tehillim chapter 3. And we're going to read verse 3. 1 and 2 is great, but I want to read verse 3. Verse 3 says, "But you, O Yahuwah, are a shield for me, my esteem, and the one lifting up my head. I cried to Yahuwah with my voice." Verse 4, "And he heard me from his set apart mountain, Selah. I laid down and slept. I awoke, for Yahuwah sustained me. I am not afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves against me round about. Arise, Yahuwah, deliver me my power, because you have smitten all my enemies on the cheek. You have broken the teeth of the wrong. Deliverance belongs to Yahuwah. Your approval is on your people, Selah." But verse 3 and 4, and the first portion of 5. "But you, O Yahuwah, are a shield for me, my esteem, and the one lifting up my head. I cried to Yahuwah with my voice, and he heard me from his set apart mountain, Selah. I lay down and slept. I awoke, for Yahuwah sustains me." Very important for us to understand that Yahuwah is the lifter of our heads. No matter what we may be facing, no matter what we may be going through, remember He is our buckler and He is our shield, and He will never let us go. He will always hold on to us. As tight as you hold on to Him, guess what? He'll hold on to you much more tighter. And it is so. Once again, keep your head up, keep your shoulders squared, keep your heart and your feet in and upon the Torah, because we can't go wrong if we hold on to Him and apply the principles and apply His instructions for our lives. I am Aliyah Yasharal, and I am the leader of Messengers of Yahuwah, Kingdom Hebraic Belief Ministries, located in South Carolina. I want you to remember, here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom Hebraic Belief Ministries, this is the place where the Torah does the body excellent. Until next time, may Abba Yahuwah Baruch Atah and keep you in His shalom until we meet again. Also, I want you to remember that you've been touched by champion, place where the champion.